to a Farmer's Breakfast Show right here on County 034. Kwa nini nimekuja nini? 034. Yes, your host Noah Nasali Kadima and
Masi
Kemunto, you're not audible. I would repeat.
Masi Kemunto.
Yes. Welcome back to yet another day. We are glad that you are watching and tuned in with us, and today we'll discuss something very interesting. You can see right here on the desk, we will be talking about soil testing and what is soil testing, everything about soil testing.
Yes.
You know, last week nilitembelea mkulima next to my farm, and that farmer asked me, no, I asked the farmer, have you done a soil test? She was like, no, I'm using the one for my neighbor. Nikatoka jasho.
Because the neighbor's soil, the results from the neighbor's soil.
Yes, nikapata jasho jembamba. Yes, so today we will be discussing about soil. What is soil testing? Why is it important? We've shared a poll, and we'll also be sharing a poll later on today, right here on A Farmer's Media, asking you what are these things about soil testing that you have always been thinking about, you've always asked yourself. And we are getting very interesting feedback. And continue to follow us on our social media handles, which was
at Our Farmers with a Z, on Instagram and on Twitter. You can tweet. We also have a YouTube channel that we are live right now, so you can go there and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Our Farmers Media. And we are live on Facebook.
Yes,
Our Farmers Media.
It's Farmers Media.
Yes.
Yes. So we want to see how we can be able, how soil testing can help us unlock the secrets in the soil. But before that, we want to ask you a few questions. What have you thought about soil testing? You know, what have you've heard about soil testing, definitely, if you are one of our followers. And share with us in the comment section what are some of the questions that you've asked yourself that you'd like us to probably mention, you know, or even get feedback about. And it's not a discussion that will end today, but it's something that we can continue discussing and getting more feedback from your end, because we want you to connect, learn and grow. But before that, traffic update.
Actually, another thing they can actually tell us,
yes,
those who have done soil before, what's the difference between before and after soil testing.
Brilliant.
Yes. So on to traffic updates. Apparently the SGR route from Syokimau, it's very slow today. Thika, as it is, Betajogo Road 100 times. Then since we kwenda Rongai, it's 30 bob, 40 or 50 bob. Lakini kwenda Karen, it's 70 bob. This Naboka Sako should be tamed.
Ati kwenda wapi?
Rongai, it's 30 bob, apparently, and 40 bob.
Na kwenda Karen?
Karen, it's 70 bob.
Allah.
So people are complaining a lot.
Hey.
I left home at
Karen are complaining.
Auto Karen are complaining, but they're trying to compare the prices between Ronga and Karen. Okay. Then there's an constructed footbridge near Allsops area, which people are actually avoiding it, and they should use it, apparently. Yes, Mombasa Road is quite slow, but it's moving. Thika Road, it's not moving. People are stuck on traffic in Thika Road. Yes, that's it for traffic. Interestingly,
wherever you are, let us know if you are stuck in traffic watching us, and we'll make your stay in traffic worthwhile.
Yes, when you're stuck there.
Yes, so we have been discussing this issue about soil testing and stuff like that. And one of the questions that came out very strongly is, why do I really need a soil test? We will be discussing this and much more. We have seen some of the feedback that is coming on. You know, how do you correct your soil, and why is it important actually to do a soil test, and where do you do a soil test? And we will be telling you so much about this and much more than that. And Mercy, you know, I used to plant hoho. I was very good in planting hoho. But what happened is I got something very interesting, that one day I harvested my hoho like on a Tuesday. On Friday, the mama mbogas who I normally deliver to Aporwai asked me, hey, where are the hohos? I was like, they're still small. I was like, what do you use on your farm? I was like, why? Like, you're supposed to harvest hoho twice a week. So I asked them.
Twice a week?
Twice a week, yes. And I was like, same plants? I was like, yes. They were like, yeah, you should be able to do that twice a week. Then I asked her, why do you mean? That's when something hit me like, oh, yeah, it's true. Because I'm supposed to harvest at least 300 to 500 kilos every week. But I was only harvesting like 150.
So which means there's a 150 that is missing.
Yes. So there are only two options. Either my guys harvest on Thursday before I go back on Friday, or there's something I'm not doing about the nutrition. Nilisumbuka na hiyo kitu almost 2 years. That's when I met somebody, a friend who has also helped me so much, Maureen Situma. She told me, why don't you combine a fertilizer and make sure that you're feeding your crop better? But when I did it, then they were very big. There was, like very, very big. I think like 3 hours was 1 kilo. Kidogo, then I was like, apana, there must be something wrong. Then that's when I met somebody and they told me, why don't you do a soil test?
You find out.
Yes,
maybe the problem is the soil.
Bas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've been suffering for, had been suffering for 2 years.
That was the end of my problem.
It actually is. It says that there's a research that says that 60% of your yield that you produce, it's dependent on the soil.
I think 70%.
70%.
Wow.
And now this is where the rest come in, maybe the seeds, the fertilizer, the water, they come in. So you see the bigger percentage is the soil.
Because you can have the right seed, wrong soil.
Then that's loss.
Exactly. So that's what we're
the right soil.
Yes.
There's not going to be losses.
Yes.
Because you're sure you're going to get your 70%.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called grow the right crop in the right place.
Yes.
Grow the right crop in the right place. Yes. And as we discuss this today, we want to make sure that we are discussing it in detail, getting to know why are we doing this, stuff like that. What are some of the things to help us correct the soils, and and some of these things we'll be talking about them in detail. We'll also share some a video probably in the middle of. During the breaks, that you can be able to understand what are some of the products, what are the humic acids, that are required to correct. I was being told that humic acid is a combination of manure and other elements. In the soil. So if you use humic acid, you don't need manure a lot.
In the soil, yeah, that's true.
I'm going to be that there are farmers who can.
Actually, the farmers who can tell you something and you're like, are you sure I'm in the right place? I'm lost. Am I in the right place?
Am I doing the right thing? Am I there? Am I even?
Am I in your old world?
Yes. So now, Mercy, have you ever met Nini? Uko kwenu mnapimanga mchanga? Have you met a farmer who has amepima mchanga? Have you ever met a farmer who has?
I heard of soil testing first at a farmer's media. Maybe let's just say maybe just maybe.
Yes.
Not because when I go home, I'm not just interested in the farms.
Yes.
I previously was not interested, but now I am. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe they do it, but I've never heard of such a thing.
Of soil testing. Kabisa.
Never heard of it.
Hey.
Let's say maybe I'm not just interested in finding out, but the next time I'm going to Nyamira,
yes,
I'm going to follow up and ask.
Ulisema kwenu hapo Nyamira?
Kwetu ni Nyamira.
2 kilometers.
Yes. Someone used to in Nyamira.
Very interestingly, thank you for having joined us. We want to continue discussing this, and we want to ask you to tell us where you're listening to us from. What do you think soil testing is all about? If you have any questions about soil testing, what are these questions that you're asking? And we will be sampling some of these questions out there. But first of all, what is soil testing? One of the reasons why we're asking these things is because as basic as they look like, they are very, very important. Yes, very important. What is soil testing? And what are you testing in your soil? Some of those questions that have been there. We'll be talking about this. Which soil test do you need?
Yes. Just the same way you go to the hospital.
Exactly.
Just don't go and
do an X-ray.
Nasikia tu kufanyiwa test.
Scan.
Kufanya scan ya kichwa. Na nimefeel tu nimekaa tu nikasikia I need like a head scan probably right now. You need to understand.
Ama scan ya mfuko. I don't know why my pocket is empty.
I don't know why my pocket is empty. Maybe you guys should just conduct a scan so that I get to understand why is my pocket empty.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Very interesting. Yes. So let us know. So why do you need a soil test? I think one of the things that we have to keep on telling ourselves and very properly is farmers have not understood why it is important.
They should understand the why first.
The why.
The why.
Exactly.
Because if you get to understand the why, you'll be like, okay, now I get it. Now, mmefanya kazi yangu ikuwe rahisi. Just don't tell me soil testing. We need you today. That's why we wanted to focus on soil testing, because we keep on emphasizing soil testing. We need to understand the why first.
Yes.
That's the first thing.
And
why?
we've got many questions. You know, when I shared this yesterday in the evening, people were like, oh, really? There's a reason why we need to ask ourselves why we need soil testing. Yes, you don't just do something because you have to do it. No. And also, where do you do the soil testing? Yes, very important. But before that, let us go into our weather of the day. Weather of the day. Very interesting.
Yesterday it was drizzling.
At night it was drizzling.
Yes, and I was like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow in the morning, and I was like, wait, okay.
The weather has changed on us. We can see on your screens that we have interesting weather patterns today. Again, as we saw yesterday, most of the country will be experiencing sunny, hot and dry. Today being the 15th of March, Tuesday, we're seeing the Lake Victoria Basin, the highlands west of Rift Valley and the central of South Rift Valley. That is the counties of Siaya, Homa Bay, Migori, Kisii, Nyamira, Trans Nzoia, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, and such areas, Busia and West Pokot counties. They will be having sunny intervals, a chance of showers over a few places in the afternoon. In the evening, again, chances of showers, maximum temperatures of 32 degrees, minimum temperatures of 10 degrees, and sunny intervals throughout the day. In other region of northwestern, that is Turkana and Samburu counties, the same sunny intervals, highs of 38 degrees and lows of 12 degrees. The highlands east of the Rift Valley, that is Nyandarua, Laikipia, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Muranga, Kiambu, Meru, Embu, Tharaka Nithi, and Nairobi counties will be experiencing sunny intervals throughout the day, and highs of 31 degrees and lows of 8 degrees. We go to northeastern, that is Marsabit, our famous county, Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, and Isiolo counties. Same sunny intervals, really hot. Highs of 37 degrees, lows of 17 degrees. The same with the southeastern lowlands, sunny intervals, quite hot, 34 degrees highs and 13 degrees lows. Back down there in Mombasa.
Kama kawaida.
Kama kawa, yes. Sunny intervals, that is Tana River, Kilifi, Kwale, Lamu, Mombasa counties. Highs of 32 degrees and lows of 24. Now, I'm alone 24. Anyway, that is your weather, farmers' weather, brought to you courtesy of the weather forecast. Kenya Meteorological Department. Yes. And that is something else that you also need to find out when it comes to weather. Weather determines so much in terms of activities on your farm. It determines so much on your crop yield. It determines a lot on even the kind of fertilizer you use. And at the end of the day, yield.
The yield.
Yes.
Okay, wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Weather does determine the type of fertilizer to use in your farm.
Yes.
How?
Because, number one, remember, Western Kenya, it rains throughout. Kisii is part of that, it rains throughout. As in, there's more times that it rains than in Eastern. How long does maize take? A longer period.
Yes.
So the kind of fertilizer you need to use is one that can sustain a crop for 8 months.
Okay.
If you're growing it in Kajiado, the southeastern areas, maize takes 3 months. So you need to take fertilizer that is taken up quickly by the plant.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm going to start farming. I will be going back to Nyamira. Think I have gained enough knowledge.
So unataka tu kuacha kazi hapo wewe Nyamira.
I have enough knowledge.
That is something else we'll discuss later on in the week. Don't just quit your job to start farming, my friend. Farming is for special. Wacha nikuulize Masi. Hii bei ya mafuta si imepanda sana, mafuta ya kupika.
Yes. Actually, so a 20 liter is actually 6,000 right now.
You know, that is more expensive than petrol.
Okay.
Nilituma mafuta jana. Karibu niulize unitumie pesa kidogo. Nitumie pesa kidogo.
Prices are going really high.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we should actually discuss where are we wrong as maybe people? Why is the fact that the prices going so high of mafuta?
Me, I don't understand. Anyway, yes, so we are discussing soil testing. Why is it important? We want to understand so many things that you have asked us over a certain period, over a long period. You know, what can we do? You know, there's a very, very famous question. My farm is virgin land. Do I need to do my soil test? You know, it has never been used before. Yes, you have to.
You have to do it.
Yes, we will be discussing that.
Why you should do it even if it has never done, or you've never planted anything on it before.
Exactly. Yes. So we will go into a short break. When we come back, we will start on a discussion. But before we go back, before we start, we will also have a newspaper review. So we are taking a very quick short break, and then we discuss so much more. Remember to follow us. Remember, don't leave there. Ask us questions. Yes, stick around and ask us what you need to know about soil testing.
A nursery bed is a small area of a yard or garden that's used for growing certain selected plants. The goal of a nursery bed is to grow young plants to a certain size at which they can be easily transplanted. A nursery bed can also be used to evaluate plants to see if they are worthy of planting in the larger garden, to observe their growth, habits and color, or watch them for pests and diseases. A nursery bed is especially helpful for vegetable gardeners practicing succession in planting, in which a steady supply of fresh produce is maintained.
Welcome back to a Farmer's Breakfast Show right here from County 034, and we are joined by...
Me, of course, me.
Yes.
Mercy Kemunto.
Yes, our young farmer.
Yes, the young farmer.
Eh.
The youngest farmer.
Umesema unataka kurudi Nyamira
kurudi Nyamira nione naweza fanya nini. Nimeshajua soil testing. And nimejua profitable crops. What else?
Na uko na KUmet.
Niko na KUmet.
Yeah, Omnia.
Yes, from Omnia.
Very interesting. So we will be talking about that in a short while. So we're discussing about something very critical, soil testing. Why is it important? And everything to do with soil testing. Before even going to test the soil itself, we want to find out, why do you need to do a soil test? Mercy, take it up.
Soil testers, we've just kept on emphasizing about soil testing. We need to understand the why. Why we basically, because it's the same way you tell a child, go somewhere. You have to let that child understand, why are you telling me to go that place? So with soil testing today, we want to, if you have more reasons, maybe someone out there has more reasons on why they conducted their soil testing. But here at the Farmers, we have just a number of reasons, but they're not limited to that. And one of it is you gain knowledge about your soil condition and how to improve it. The same way to go to the hospital. If you're sick and you get tested, you gain knowledge of how your health is and how you're going to, what the remedies you're going to do.
Yep.
So with soil testing, like for something like texture and color is something that is visible, you can actually see. But the chemical and the biological components that are found in the soil, you have to now take your soil to the lab and get to understand your soil clearly, and also get to understand the remedies. What are you supposed to do, or what are you going to correct, or what nutrient that is missing in your soil. Another thing why you should test your soil is it's the first step into soil fertility management. As we've said, 70% of your yield depends on the fertility of your soil. So if you get to manage your soil fertility very well, this means that your yields are going to be more and way much better. And soil testing is the first soil testing is the first step to proper soil fertility management. Yes. Yep. And I think another reason we have is that it minimizes the fertility expenditure. Actually, you can get to using more fertilizer. Maybe you think the problem is your crop.
Yes.
They're not growing.
Yes.
So maybe you increase the more fertilizer you use, and you spend more on fertilizer, and probably it's just some nutrients that your soil is lacking, and you're here putting more fertilizer in your soil.
Mercy,
yes.
That is what you've actually just pricked something. That's what I used to do. Nilikuwa najua chakula, so ukikuwa na njaa unakula chakula mingi. So this crop needs fertilizer. Yes. So I used to put fertilizer every week.
And now imagine that time with the prices of fertilizer right now. If you thought that's your problem, that's where your problem is.
Yes.
But maybe the problem is the soil, the soil health, basically. Yep. So when you get to understand your after you understand your soil, this means you're going to use the correct amount of fertilizer
Exactly.
in your plant, in your
Yes.
soil, because more fertilizer actually affects your soil
Yes.
at the end of it.
Yes, yes.
Then, as I said, just avoid over fertilization. When you minimize the expenditure and the money or the unnecessary spending on fertilizer, this therefore means that you're going to spend less, not just less, the correct amount
Exactly.
of fertilizer in your soil.
Yes.
Then lastly, you avoid soil degradation. Soil degradation is lack of major components in your soil, biological, chemical components. When you get to understand your soil and you work on it, therefore this means that you don't have any soil degradation in your farm or in your soil.
Kabisa,
Yes.
kabisa, kabisa, kabisa. Very true, very true. And you see, with all those pointers, then you start understanding, yes, it is important. You know, sometimes we hear people saying, you know, me, I'm planting sukuma wiki. Do I need to do a soil test?
Yes.
You don't go to hospital because you just want to go to hospital. You go to hospital because you think you're not feeling well.
Or you just want to find out if you're well.
Exactly. When you reach there, a doctor might it might look something very simple. Let me tell you. There's a time, I think like 20 years ago, probably? 20, I think like 20 years ago. I was nose bleeding. So I drove myself to hospital. It wasn't even far. I was working around Upper Hill, so I just drove myself to the hospital. And I parked there. I was nose bleeding, so I took I think like 5-10 minutes just for it to relax. Then I walked into hospital. From the day I drove into hospital, I stayed in hospital for 6 months.
Just because of nose bleeding?
Not nose bleeding. So nose bleeding was just a sign.
Of a major...
I had hurt my back a while back.
Okay. And you assumed?
I didn't even remember I had my back. So I was just like, why am I nose bleeding? Where? Then all of a sudden I was told, first of all, yes, because of nose bleeding, lazima uchomwe. Kuna the trauma, then the tonsillitis, the trauma kabisa. Not tonsillitis, the sinuses, I think. They want to trauma. Then take it to hospital. Then they check the back. Nilikuwa naekewa weights kwa miguu so that I don't fall my back. So what we are saying is, when you think something is wrong with your crops, start with the soil. If you want
the problem.
Exactly. If you want to make money from your farm, start with your soil. Fix the soil, because that is the beginning of everything. That is the beginning of everything, and that is what we're discussing today. And there's a point that you've said. Why? Probably you can just summarize once again, like the pointers why it's important.
Point,
yes.
The few pointers why it's important.
Yeah.
We've said one of it, you avoid overspending or unnecessary money on your fertilizers.
Exactly.
Because you've understood your soil. So the problem is not the crop having lack of fertilizer.
No.
The problem is the soil.
Yes.
So when you get to understand your soil, you avoid unnecessary spending on the fertilizer, because maybe you think the problem is fertilizer ndio haina, so tuweke fertilizer, tuweke mingi ndio kama ni sukuma matawi ikuje ikiwa ile kubwa. Yes. And when you avoid overspending, this means you also avoid over-fertilization, putting more fertilizer in your soil.
Yes.
And I was actually told like a lot of fertilizer is not healthy to your soil.
It's not. That is why even in the Holy Book it says gluttons not inherit God's kingdom.
Yes.
Yani,
overeating is
overeating. It's the same thing with fertilizer. When you do fertilizer,
did you have to give that example?
No, it's true. You don't just put fertilizer and no. You need to ask yourself, why am I putting fertilizer in my soil? Why is it important? And if you don't have a reference point, we'll be sharing. Actually, I thought about it, and I will be sharing a soil test and just trying to analyze what is soil test, what is all about. Again, when you do this, so you don't just keep on adding fertilizer. No, it's not important.
Okay, as I've told you, you'll be going to Nyamira. You see, I'm getting knowledge. Another important reason why you should go for the most important actually is to gain knowledge about your soil, and you get to understand your soil very well. This way it means you're going to improve it. If you know my soil is lacking, let's say, magnesium in the soil, I'm going to work on it more. Or my soil is lacking a specific type of nutrient, I'm going to work on that specific nutrient.
Exactly.
My soil has enough of this type of nutrient, then there's no need of it. Adding.
Yes.
Then you use maybe fertilizer that have specific nutrients that maybe your soil lack.
Exactly. Very important, very important. And you know, for me, when it comes to soil tests, soil and health and all that, I just get, sweetie. And I'm even confused where to start, what not to say today.
You're not sure what has not been said.
Yes, but you know, it's important. It's important for you to be able to grow the right crop in the right place. You know, it's something that myself studying now as a soil scientist, and apart from just studying part and also just being part of the crop nutrition laboratory services, Dr. Odongo, I have learned so much. There are small things that we assume. For example, just a hard pan. You grow crops, they become stunted growth, and you're wondering, okay, what is the problem? Unaendelea kuweka fertilizer, you know, unapalilia, then or later on that's when you realize it had gotten a hard pan because the soil condition was not right. So nutrients hazikuwa zinapanda kwa mmea. So unapata stunted growth. Very, very interesting. So that's some of the things that you need to look at and stuff like that. So, but now, before we even get to the next stage, we want to ask ourselves, you know, we'll be sharing us like a result, a soil test result, but not now, later on. I will be sharing that. We just want to find out, which soil test do you need as a farmer? Which soil test do you need as a farmer? And you know, when we talk about soil test, there are very many things. If you're growing a crop that requires, so even before going there, we want to find out, like, for example, what is this, what I wanted to mention, what is this, yes, which soil test do you need as a farmer? You know, when you say soil test, you know, farmers get confused. So there are 4 different crops that you can be able to actually think about and soil testing, you know. And we'll be talking about this actually courtesy of crop nuts. Crop nutrition laboratory services.
Yes.
And the first one is field crops. Field crops are, if you're growing field crops, what solution you can get is actually making sure that you're testing your macro and your macro and micro nutrients.
Macro and micronutrients.
Yes, exactly. So the macronutrients are the NPK, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and potassium. Standard procedure, the things that the crop needs to grow. Then the secondary nutrients are now magnesium, calcium, sulfur. It's scientific, but it's good for you to just learn. It's important, very important for you to be able to learn this, you know, and the other, the micronutrients that are there, boron, which helps in fruit formation, flowering.
Or the flowering part.
Exactly, yes. Chlorine, manganese, iron, zinc. Zinc helps so much, you know. Calcium, copper helps a lot, you know. You know, so those are some of the things that you're testing when you talk about, first of all, field crops. The basic nutrients that you require. You know, the next stage is that, so this one is done for both large scale, small scale farmers, so long as you are actually putting, you know, what it helps is actually make sure that you as a farmer invest wisely. You invest wisely and apply the right inputs whenever you are, however big or small your farm is. So make sure that the field crops, that's another test that you require. The next one is greenhouse crops. You know, greenhouse crops, as we can see on your screens right now, the greenhouse is also controlled temperatures, controlled conditions, controlled, what are these things called? The microorganisms. So when you're doing that, you have to make sure that you're also understanding what is this crop that I'll be growing in the greenhouse. So that is something, a soil test that you require, just to find out, you know, what you
and figure out which crop you're going to grow in that greenhouse.
Exactly. Yes. And as you do this, by the way, as you do your soil test, it's also very important to do your analysis, water analysis, to find out whether that water is, you know, it's healthy enough for your soil. You know, you can get very good soils, but alkaline or salty water, and it also continue messing up.
Mess up with the nutrients.
Exactly. Yes. Unakutana sitasema mimi, lakini you get some very healthy kids, but men are brown. Those are already exactly because of water. So water is also important. The other one that is very important, especially for you as a farmer who's growing fruit trees, fruit crops, things like avocado, things like mangoes, bananas, and the rest, anything that is going below 30 centimeters, the soil texture and composition analysis. So this one, it actually tests it's called a soil texture test. The first time I did a soil texture test when I was doing avocado, even before doing avocado, I was called by a farmer in Kimana near Loitoktok, and the farmer said, I want you to do for me a soil test. And I was like, that's easy. But when I consulted, I was like, no, it's not easy. You have to go and dig 1 meter. We just do 60, 15, 30, 20 centimeters. In 1 meter. You can imagine, and I think the farmer was buying like 700 acres. So we can imagine getting samples from all this. Tulifika huko asubuhi, we were finishing at 4. Hey.
You're tired.
Yes. So when you're doing a soil test, you're actually doing a soil texture test. You are checking the sand, silt, and clay content
in the
ratios, in the soil, because that's very important. You don't want to grow a crop where deep roots are getting into clay. It means that the roots will not form properly. The higher the clay content, the worse the result.
The rooting.
Exactly. So you have to check that as a farmer. Keep on checking for you to be able to be successful and find out that. So that is the next soil test that you require. The other one is soil risk and crop compatibility analysis. Something that is very critical, that you need to do this. This soil risk, when you go to a soil test, when you go to hospital, kuna blood test. Kwanza before blood test, kuna an X-ray. So there's X-ray.
When you're looking for general body check.
General body, yes.
These are the main things first. Body temperature, weight,
wanakuangalia wanaona
blood pressure.
Kuna mtu aliniambia niende nipunguze kilo. Niambia nipunguze kilo. Sawa daktari. So there's this soil risk and crop compatibility analysis. So that one is now where we talk about pathology. So pathology ni vile sasa unaenda sasa umepimwa X-ray haionyeshi kabisa. Daktari anasema hapana, lazima tupime damu. Tuone sasa shida iko wapi.
X-ray, it's okay.
X-ray inaonyesha sawa, bones hazijapasuka nini, things like that. So what exactly?
Maybe it's something internal that you can't see.
Yes. Other tests that happen is probably the hydroponics test, plant tissue and analysis, fertilizer composition, and animal feed analysis. So that all those things are some very important things that you as a farmer have to make sure that you're understanding, and you're understanding really, really, really well. But Mercy has told us what is important. Why?
The why.
Yes, the why it is important for soil testing. And as we do that, we also need to ask ourselves, where is this place where you can test your soil credibly? Unajua kuna hiyo tofauti ya test na credible test.
Credible test. The same way there's a hospital, wanakuangalia hivyo. Wewe tunaona ni kama uko na malaria.
Lakini unajiuliza mimi sijaenda mahali kuna malaria.
So where gets malaria from?
Yes. So don't just go and test soil because that umesikia farmers media wamesema tuende to test soil.
Go from to credible labs.
Exactly. ISO certification is very important because the result you get are the result that will help you understand, this is important, I should do this, I should... very important to know where you're testing your soil. Yes.
I actually have a question.
Yes.
When testing soil, I have let's give an example of 2 acres of land.
Yes.
And these 2 acres of land of mine, maybe one is a way that you find someone, the land has been extended maybe to the river, uko chini, and this other one here, that land uko chini, it has more water compared to this other land on this side.
Yes.
And in that same farm, I have a greenhouse. So when people tend to think soil testing, this all of it is my land.
Yes.
So maybe someone gets soil from one particular place and takes it to the lab. You should take it from different corners of your
fantastic
farm.
Yes. So we're getting to there. We have an image that we'll be sharing with you on how to collect the soil sample. And it's very important for you to understand exactly how do you collect soil sample. Wacha nikwambie siku ya kwanza. Hata hii maisha imetuonyesha vituko. The first time we saw we have an image there of a slope like a slope. Yes, there, as we'll be sharing that, our producer will be sharing that image in the next few minutes. And this is a very interesting image, and yes, it is coming up in a few seconds. There we have it, yes. And if you look at that sample, we have, it's like a slope, and being a slope, then you realize that then there's something that you require to see. The upper part of the crop, the farm is sloping. Uko chini, bottomland iko sawa, sindio? Sasa most of the time you'll find that the bottom part of the farm is healthy.
It's more healthy.
Healthy. Do you know why?
No. No, yeah, I know why. I know why. Because this part from the beginning,
yes,
it has its own nutrients, yes. And now due to soil erosion, the nutrients from the upper part of the farm.
And I am a
certified farmer now. Now the nutrients and everything are carried away to the bottom part of the farm.
Exactly. Soil scientist.
Certified.
Yes. Very interesting. Yes. So the lower part, as you can see on your screen, the lower part of the bottom part of the farm has its own nutrients. As Mercy said, Mercy, our scientist of the day.
Yes.
And the upper part has lost all the nutrients because the top 15 to 20 meters, at least maximum of 1 foot, is where the nutrients of the farm is. So ukipeleka and the soil erosion has occurred and it's going down, automatically you start losing. You start losing immediately. You start losing the nutrients. So you find that the upper part haina nutrients.
Because they've been swept away.
Exactly. And so with that in mind, then as we still see that particular image, you find that now you have to take samples of the upper part and then samples of the lower part. So that you have you don't have a place. Sometimes when you used to visit my dad and other farmers, they're like, my farm, this part is imenona. This part is more healthier than this other part. But it's because of the imbalance, the soil erosion and just imbalance. So what you do is that you take analysis in all those parts. Yes. So there are different types of soil analysis. There are different types of how to collect soil analysis, and we'll be just sharing some of that in the next few seconds. There's the different types of how you can collect soil samples. I first of all used to think you just take samples from different places, but no, you have to actually, yes, in a structured way.
You have to do it in a structured way.
Yes.
Now I get to understand. You get, for example, you have the same seeds of, for example, maize.
Yes.
The time I went to Shago, you get, our farm is actually sloppy. So you get the bottom part.
Yes.
The maize there are very, very healthy.
Yes.
With very big maize cobs, they are green and everything. And I'm trying to understand why this other part,
yes,
the upper part,
yes,
the maize are they're struggling to survive, but they're really struggling.
Yes.
And now I'm understanding the bottom part of it has more nutrients than the upper part.
Yes, yes, okay. Very true.
Certified
soil scientist. Yes. So what you do is that you take the different, like a zigzag. So you do like a W. You draw a W of the whole farm. So every point where there's like a bend, you take a sample, and you don't just take a sample. It depends on the crops. We'll be sharing in a few seconds. Our director will be sharing in a few seconds. Just the slide. Yes, exactly. The slide of actually how to be able to, what is the depth, the sampling depth that you take of the soils, depending on the crops that you're growing.
On the root, so if the crops here depend on the rooting,
yes,
how far they go.
Yes, because the further the roots, that's where the nutrients will be. So you need to know that where you're taking the sample from. Like if you're planting avocado, you need to take at least 1 meter depth. Because you're doing exactly, and you're doing and also you're planting it down. So there we have it. Yes. So if you are growing grasses, grasslands, stuff like rice, finger, millet, ground.
And everything.
Yes, yes. I just do like 5 centimeters because grass does not go like at 20 centimeters.
No, the roots are just up here.
Exactly. Yes. It's just up there, you know, you can be able to manage that. The second thing, if you want to, is if you're growing things like cotton, sugarcane, banana, vegetables, you need to at least 15 centimeters. You know, if you're doing, when to talk about vegetables, we talk about tomatoes, onions, capsicum, stuff like that. You just take 15 centimeters because I don't think roots go beyond 15 centimeters. The roots are just rotating around. Yes, exactly. And then if you're doing other crops, if you're doing probably 15 to 22 centimeters, yes. But if you're doing things like perennial crops, plantations, orchard crops, you know, things like avocado, banana, stuff like that, then you go a bit deeper. You know, you go
30,
deeper. Exactly.
30, 60, and 90 centimeters.
Exactly.
Every point. So at 30, you take a soil from 30 centimeters. Then at 60, you take a sample. Then at 90, you take a sample.
Yes.
Okay.
So after you've taken the samples, what do you do? So you've taken samples from all parts of the farm. What do you do next? You actually, very interestingly, you mix everything. You mix all that because you'll have taken like probably I think 10 or 20 kilos or even 5 kilos. You mix everything together. You remove any debris. You remove any stones, grass, things like that.
You mix this soil
Yes.
in the different samples from the different part of the farm.
Unaziweka pamoja. When you put that together, then you come up with 1 kilo
of soil.
Yes. Now, question is, do you take samples when it is wet or when it is dry?
When it's wet.
Why? Umepita. That's a very good answer. But now, explain.
I would say probably my answer is wrong, but when the soil is wet, because now the nutrients are you get to detect if they are there, and those two earthworms. I was told if you see your soil has earthworms, then it has nutrients, because earthworms cannot survive in not a healthy soil.
Exactly.
Unhealthy soil. But I get to understand why wet or dry soil. I'm not sure.
Yes. So when it's wet, because the test will be done. Even if you take dry, you cannot take dry. There's no problem. But it's a wet test. So it will be put in water to be tested, because I remember you're going to also to put water in the soil. So you want to see the reaction, things like that, and it will show so much. You know, when it has water, sometimes it can even show you whether the salinity levels of the soil and that
pH level.
Yes, the pH levels, yes, and that is very interesting. We'll be doing that as we share the soil test result of today. I've donated my farm soil test results. So we'll be sharing that in the next few seconds.
The results of it's like risking your health results.
Yes, I've put my laboratory tests, but I'll not tell you where the farm is. Yes. So we'll be sharing that in the next few seconds. But before even sharing that, we just want to make sure that we understand something very basic. What are these things that are required for you to improve your soil? What are these things that are required for you to improve your soil as a farmer? And one of the things that we have seen is the humic acid. Humic acid is something very important. And humic acid, we have a very interesting product from Omnia Fertilizers.
The K-Humet.
Yes, the K-Humet. Yes, the K-Humet, and not the Mega Kelp, the K-Humet that we are thinking about how we can be able to use it and things like that, and what are the benefits of K-Humet. So we'll just touch on something very, very brief on the same in terms of what is this K-Humet, what are we talking about when you talk about K-Humet. This is a very interesting product. So K-Humet is a very interesting product because it helps boost so much, it helps improve soil moisture. It helps, soil moisture and nutrient retention. It helps reduce nutrient lockup in the soil. Sometimes nutrients are locked up and develop the heartburn. It helps in the development of better soil structures. It stimulates plant root growth and soil biological activity. Brilliant.
I think the easier way I can say it, it's a concentrated liquid soil conditioner.
Fantastic. Correct.
So the same way, for example, let's give example with women now. I'm sure we have women farmers. Now they can relate more compared to men.
The same way
you wash your hair. and you put conditioner in it.
Yeah.
This is the same way you wash your hair and apply conditioner.
Yes.
This is the same way this KUmet is. It's a soil conditioner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you see, and if you want to get details about it, you can call the number there, 0715-773-043. 0715-773-043. Go to Omnia East Africa Facebook page, follow, get to know more details about this. Yes.
The KUmet.
Exactly.
Soil conditioner. I
Soil
just
conditioner.
ask for the soil conditioner. It's easier that way.
Yes.
And it's easier understood that way because it moisturizes the soil, just as we've said.
Yes.
Yeah, and gives the soil nutrients.
Kabisa. Tick, correct. Very interesting. Yes. So we want to go into a short break. But before we go into a short break, we want to give you something. We want to give you something. We would like you to tell us, apart from where you are, apart from telling us what you're growing, we want you to tell us what is the importance of soil testing. Go to the comment section. Let us know why it is important. Why should you test? We'll be giving you something at the end of the show.
And when we come back, we'll be reading some of your comments
Yes.
on the question that we had posted on earlier on the Africa Farmers Club, and we had asked, what question about soil testing would you like to be answered on? So we're going to sample the questions that you need to be answered on, and we're also going to read your feedbacks when we come back after the break.
We are going to short break.
Celery is a marshland plant that comes from the same family as carrots and parsley. It has long, firm and pale green fibrous stalks and grows in bunches of approximately 8 to 10 centimeters. The stalks taper into leaves at the top. When planting celery, it's best to ensure that the soil is enriched with compost and with a soil pH of between 5.8 to 6.8. It is also important for celery to grow in moisture-retentive soil. Lastly but not the least, select a site that receives full and direct sunlight. Celery needs about 130 to 140 days to mature between seedling and harvest. Growing celery is generally considered to be an ultimate vegetable gardening challenge. It's easy to grow, but has very specific needs. Is the art and science of cultivating the soil, growing crops, and raising livestock. Agriculture provides most of the world's food and fabrics. It is not only a source of food and income, but also creates employment opportunities for many people in the world. Over 1 billion people worldwide work in agriculture, generating 2.4 trillion for the global economy. The global impact of farming on the environment is revealed that 40% of the Earth's land is now given over to agriculture. Agricultural development is one of the most powerful tools to end extreme poverty, boost shared prosperity, and feed a projected 9.7 billion people by 2050. And we, the Our Farmers Media, roll the carpet for you as we welcome you to our thrilling farm visits to different farmers that educate and inspire you in different sectors in agriculture. Catch us also on our shows on all our social media platforms as we bring you educative and informative information that will help you learn and guide you on your agriculture journey to success. Our farmers attain knowledge and grow profits. Eggplant is an elongated shaped and dark purple fruit, and its leaves are large, ovate, and slightly lobed. Eggplant is a perennial crop but grown commercially as annual. Eggplant grows best in well-drained sandy loam or loam soil. The soil pH should be between 5.8 and 6.5 for best growth. Eggplant requires a regular watering and steadily warm growing conditions.
Welcome back to a Farmer's Breakfast Show. And
Hot breakfast show.
Hot breakfast show, yes. We're doing the hot breakfast show.
Yes.
Yes. Now, very interesting discussion that we're having with my co-host, my very able co-host here, Mercy Kemunto. Amesema anataka kurudi Nyamira kulima. Hii mambo ingine ameona amepita. She knows why we need to do a soil test.
Yes, I also learned about why, how to do it, where to do it, and the profitable crops. So I mean to be on the bus tonight. My way to Nyamira. Kuwakilisha farmers.
Kuwakilisha farmers.
Be a testimonial.
Very interesting. And we want to see, using an example of like, why test soil? What are the nutrients that are tested? Why is it important to do it? What are these things that are being tested? We've seen, are very interesting. But before we do that, we want to see something that we have been discussing here. And one of the things that we've been discussing is, how do you collect samples? We've seen how do you collect your samples.
Where do you collect them?
Where do you collect them? What quantity is required? And the most important thing now is to ask ourselves, I have collected my soil sample, nimefanya everything possible, where do I take my sample? Yes, to be tested. So there are very many places you can go and test your soil soil and get analyses. But for us here, we want to share with you products, service providers that are credible, that we have seen, we have used, we have worked with. People who love farmers. We always say that our friends, we have friends who we have our friends, and then we have our friends who love our farmers. Yes. So one of the places that you can actually go and actually test your soil and get credible results with recommendations is Crop Nutrition Laboratory Services. And you've seen what happens. Yes. So you take the soil sample on the side here. It's been told send samples by courier to Cropnuts Limuru. The numbers are there. If you are in Kajiado, Machakos areas, Machakos counties, you can always call us here on 0700 29 30 31, and we will come collect your sample. So if you're in Kajiado counties, Machakos, Makueni, and the Nairobi Metropolitan, probably Kiseri and Rongai. Oh, you're bado in Kajiado County.
Kajiado, yes, that's in Kajiado.
Oh, that's in Kajiado County.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know, mambo mingi. Yes. So you can actually come collect. We can call us. We will guide you how to collect the sample. You can send it to us, or you can send directly to Crop Nutrition Laboratory Services via courier. Mostly is Wells Fargo, and go there, get the soil tested,
and get your results. Alafu, today we were measuring on soil testing,
Yes.
but with crop nuts,
Yes.
And the laboratory services,
Yes.
they have other services that they offer.
Yes.
We have plant tissue analysis and disease diagnosis. We also have fertilizer and compost analysis, and we also have animal feed analysis.
Yes.
The topic of another day.
Yes. So, what is soil sampling? Sampling is collecting of soil from a farm or a garden for analysis. And what is soil analysis? Soil analysis is getting the detailed soil composition, nutrition, and organic activity
In the soil.
in the soil.
Yes.
So with that, we want to share. I would like to share a soil test result. A soil test result of my farm. We want to share it and just to get to know exactly what are we testing.
And what are the results like?
Exactly. Yes. We'll be sharing it. Our director will be putting it up, and we will be sharing. Yes. And this result is very interesting. When you look at it, it's very interesting because when you see this result, it tells you so many things. It tells you so many things that, for example, one of the things that it tells you is basically what are you testing? You know, what are you testing? And when you say what are you testing, it's very simple. It's very simple. And the pH. The first one is the pH. That is the pH. The pH value is now the basic component that you actually test. We can see that, and why this is, I normally say crop nuts is credible, is because when you look at it very critically, you find that it gives you optimum levels. So a guide low is 6, and a guide high is 7.5. So yours has to be around there.
In between.
Yes, in
Also,
between.
It gives you a guide low and a guide high.
Yes.
And where what is the guide in your soil.
Yes, exactly. And this is very critical because the pH value is very, very critical. Just as probably to have the soil test result on the screen. This is very, very critical because it determines nutrient uptake, it determines the quantity of fertilizer, it determines your success, it determines your yield, because if it's too high, your crops won't do well. It will start drying. If it's too low, it means it's too acidic, you know, and so that means that you also need to be very observant. And this soil test analysis is very important before you start farming. Even when you're listing land, just make sure that you are actually telling, you're actually seeing for yourself, like, I'm listing this land, has the soil test been done? And I would urge you, just ask the owner of the farm, do you have a soil test result?
Yeah.
You know, because you might
Helpful.
list land, expensive, or even if it's not expensive, but it's still a cost. And you realize that crops can't grow well.
Cannot grow. Or whatever crop that you have in mind that you have to put there cannot do very much well there.
Exactly. You know, the next thing you're testing, especially from Crop Nutrition Laboratory Services, and this is a complete soil analysis. When we talk about complete soil analysis with recommendations, is basically everything.
Every component, every biological and chemical component in your soil.
Exactly. Yes, and when you're doing this, there's what is it called? There's analysis that you're actually getting. You are getting both. You're checking the EC content. You're checking the macro. We've mentioned about the macro and the micro.
Yes.
So when you're checking the macro, you're taking about the phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen levels that we have seen previously. And then you have the other smaller, not smaller. It's micro, but it's a determining factor of your success. So this one is basically things like calcium. We can see there my farm has less calcium. I always need to work on it. Magnesium is too high. That can
That's
prevent
helpful.
exactly. You know, and then the recommended is 232. Mine is quite high, is 463. The sulfur is balanced, sodium is balanced, iron is balanced, manganese is balanced. Boron is still a bit low. We normally have that challenge, but you can always now boost. The advantage of doing a soil test is that it tells you what you have and what you need to grow.
What you can do.
Yes, it's like if you had a pocket tester. Pocket tester, and I test in Angalia. Okay.
No, you have.
Yes.
You don't have money.
Yes.
You have enough money.
What do you need to do to make more money?
Or what do you need to do to make more money?
More money. Yes. Yes. So yes. So and copper is balanced. Our copper is balanced. So zinc is a bit low. Our zinc is very, very low. So we need to get something that boosts the zinc. Our nitrogen is a bit low, but now it's a bit balanced because we can always grow crops that can help us boost
the nitrogen.
Yes,
as well. Yes,
exactly. And then there's something that is very important. It's called organic matter. Organic matter is absolutely important because organic matter is now things that now you need to make sure that it conditions the soil. Yes, and so those are some of the things that we test. And when you're testing this, it's not just for the sake of testing. It's actually testing for you to determine your yield, testing to determine your success, testing to determine everything.
Everything, yes. So
yes.
Basically everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And probably just something else that we have seen is that when you test your soil, it tells you the nutrients
that are found in your soil.
Exactly.
And the one you lack.
Yes.
The one which you have in surplus.
Yes.
Okay.
And what else do you think it tells us
about when you test
your soil?
The soil?
Yes.
Apart from the nutrients,
yes,
it also enables you to understand. After understanding what it has,
yes,
or what it has in surplus, or what it has in low quantity,
yes,
you're going to work on that now.
Yes.
The soil testing.
Exactly. And kuna kitu pia nyingine inatupatia. Just try and remind me.
You're scientist. You are soil scientist here. What else does the soil test give you?
Yes.
The percentage and ratios of maybe calcium, magnesium, potassium,
yes,
sodium, and hydrogen.
Exactly.
And other bases. No.
And
this
also,
is where the chemistry comes in.
It shows you how healthy your crops will be. And if your crops are healthy, it means that even the way you spray, whatever you spray, is very important.
Whatever you spray in your...
Exactly.
And how you do it.
Yes, very important.
Most importantly is how you spray.
Exactly.
Maybe we have tested the soil. We've planted the right amount of seed, and the crop is doing quite well. We are at that stage. Now maybe your crop maybe has pesticides. That's not the end of it. There's a solution to it.
Yes. You
use pesticides, but now how do you do it?
Exactly.
You might have done everything well. Now it reaches this point of using pesticides. Now this is you, not the soil.
Yes.
This is you as a person now.
Yes.
This comes back to you as a person. You have to ensure that you use pesticides safely, or you handle them safely.
Exactly.
And one of them is you keep record of pesticides.
Yes.
I'm having this, maybe I'm going to buy pesticides. If you have in check, maybe you have a list and you say, maybe I have this particular one, it's the remaining amount can take me for this season, or the remaining amount cannot manage this one, I need to add.
Yes.
And that's the important part of you keeping records of your pesticides. And you know which is it that am I going to add, or which is it that I'm not going to add.
Yes.
It makes you easier, and it makes you avoid spending unnecessary money on pesticides. Maybe you already have it.
Exactly.
Because you've noted down that this particular one, I have it in my farm.
Yes. So
another thing is you mix only the correct amount of pesticides required for a particular task to avoid need of disposing of any surplus. Just don't put in more. If it's 10 ml, just use the exact 10 ml. Don't add more, because if you add more, this means that maybe the 10 ml itaisha and you have an extra 10 ml that you need to pour it off, because
Exactly.
you won't leave it like that.
Yes.
You need
Yes.
So you avoid wastage, and as farmers, At the end of it, this is business.
Yes.
When you save money, we have more profit.
Yes.
So ensure that you use the correct amount of pesticides. Use calibrated containers. If it's 20 ml, just measure 20 ml. Take your time. Ama you just don't take any container. Like, ina karibia 20 ml. So maybe you find it's actually even 50 ml, and you're like, ina 20 ml. So just use calibrated container and observe of a distance of 10 to 15 meters from water bodies when spraying your pesticides.
Yes. Yes.
Because maybe they can be swept away by the wind.
Exactly.
To the lake.
Yes.
And maybe this lake provides water for the community. So
yes.
just ensure that where you are, it's not near a water body while spraying these pesticides. You as a farmer, we are sensitizing. Your safety matters to us.
Exactly.
And matters to your crops.
Yes.
So handle pesticides safely, from storing them to washing your hands.
Keeping records.
Yes. Putting maybe a watering point where you can wash your hands after handling these pesticides.
Yes.
Putting them where children cannot reach. Like it's broad, but just take care of yourself while handling pesticides.
This message has been brought to you by Market Access Upgrade Program, Markup, in partnership with farmers and other stakeholders like PCPB, KEFIS, as well as under the guidance of United Nations Industrial Development Organization.
Yes.
And they say that Dawa Bora,
Mazao Bora.
Dawa Bora, Mazao Bora. Brilliant. And so as we wind up, tunaambiwa masaa yetu ya studio kiko karibu kutoka, wengine wanataka kuingia. We want to thank you very much, and we want to sample some of the comments that you've actually shared with us. And we are very grateful that you continue sharing this with us and giving us some of the feedback. It is brilliant that we are actually having to work with you guys, you know, you as our viewers, you as farmers. It's very important for us to be able to just make sure that we are all working together to make sure that this is a success story. And so the question that we had asked earlier on is a very interesting question. And it was basically, what questions about soil testing would you like to be answered? Mercy, some comments?
We have a question here. Richard Ombina is saying, how to identify what is missing in your soil by looking at symptoms on the plant.
Exactly. Yes. Very interesting. Another comment here is, how do I identify? Oh, yes, that's the one you've asked. Yes, how do I identify what is missing in the soil by looking at the point? The other comment that is there is
how to correct nutrition in the soil.
By our good friend Avoland, the guy from Avoland, Collins Ngetich, how to correct nutrition in the soil after testing. And something else that most of you are asking, why soil testing is expensive. Is there an alternative? Apana. There's no alternative.
Soil testing. It's the same way you say going to the hospital is expensive.
Is there an alternative?
There's no alternative. Soils that they do not have mitishamba that you can use on them.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And we have seen that what is tested during soil testing. We have seen using example, yes. And the other one we are asking is,
why do I
need a soil test? Marcy has elaborated on that in detail. Yes. And then how to identify what's missing in your soil by looking at the symptoms of the plant. Yes, Richard has asked that. How much is the soil test? Yes, you can actually visit Crop Nutrition Laboratory Services, cropnuts_AG, and get to learn about that at the comments. And remember, you can always call us on 0700 29 30 31 to be able to, we will be able to answer most of these questions that we've actually asked here. Something else that we have seen there in the comments that you say that you would like to learn more is, my farm is new, has never been used. Do I still need to do a test, soil test?
Virgin soil, yes.
Very important. You still need to
Most
do.
important one.
In fact,
before even. That's step one.
Hata mtoto amezaliwa ni mpya, lazima apewe chanjo.
Lazima apewe chanjo.
Yes, lazima apewe chanjo. Mtoto yuko kwa tumbo, lazima hata mtoto yuko anafanywa scan, hiyo ni kupima tu pia.
Yes.
To determine health. Yes. How do I collect my soil sample? We have answered that. We'll be sharing some of these images. Actually, we'll be sharing some of these images under this comment section. Can I use my neighbor's soil test result? I will ask you this question. Can you harvest your neighbor's farm?
No.
No.
You cannot use your neighbor's results.
Hata mapacha wanapewa blood test tofauti.
Yes.
Mapacha, they don't have the same fingerprints. You know, twins don't have the same fingerprints, the same, probably blood group, probably, I'm not sure. How to correct soil nutrition? Definitely, once you measure when you take your soil to be tested, kupima. To crop nuts, they'll be able to give you recommendations.
Yes,
Urge you to
what
do
is low and of what is high.
Yes, and what is recommended in case it is too low, it's too high, what can you do?
Yes.
The other one is where do I get credible soil testing services? Cropnuts.com.
Yes.
If you're in Kajiado, Machakos counties, call us here. We can be able to come, collect the soil sample, show you much more about it. Yes, and do that. The last one that is, yes, it is the same. Where do I get soil tested results? Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for having tuned in with us, shared so much with us. We want to make sure that you have the best knowledge, the right knowledge. If you are an organization that is reaching out to farmers and you'd like to be able to reach out to farmers with your products and services, call us here.
Farmers
Yes,
Media.
call us at Farmers Media. Go to our social media handles, send us messages. You can send us even WhatsApp messages on 0700 29 30 31
yes.
or 0700 288 057. Or if you find that busy, 0700 29 29 59. And tell us which kind of farmers would you want to reach out to, what services are you offering, and we will give
what
you
products do you have?
Exactly.
Yes.
And we will give you a package, something that you'll be able to benefit and reach out to farmers, to our over 2.5 million viewers. You know, and it was very interesting when we were doing the research, Mercy, and we saw like the year of COVID, 2020, 2020, we managed to reach close to 5 million farmers just with our content. You know, it gave me a lot of joy. And just to see that, yes, we are doing
can actually reach out to a very huge number of farmers.
Exactly.
Yes, the fact that people went back to farming due to COVID.
Anyway, it's time for our farmer's proverb.
Yes.
And the proverb is,
you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Like in where? There's a proverb.
Help us understand. We will be calling you in here.
You can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Honey is sweet. Vinegar ni kama ndimu.
So ukitaka kushika kitu mzuri natumia kitu tamu.
Yes. That's easy.
Yes. Very interesting. Thank you for having tuned in. This has been a farmer's hot breakfast.
Sure.
Yes. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be discussing something interesting. We will be sharing that with you guys.
With you guys.
Thank you. Have a brilliant day.